All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the alaracanfieldshow, the Awakened Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And my good friend Susan Kennard is back with us. And today we are talking about Galactic Crystal Healing Chambers, a new innovative technology for ascension and for healing trauma. So we're going to talk a lot about that with Susan. We're going to talk about, what is galactic technology, what is a pre-birth soul plan, why it's important to heal our traumas now. We're going to talk about Susan's spiritual awakening that led to who she is today. And we're going to ask the same question of ourselves too. What was your spiritual awakening? And how does healing the trauma within ourselves help timelines to shift? How do the Galactic Crystal Healing Chambers help us to heal and align to our ascension? What do these healing chambers do for the collective? Why do we need to heal so quickly now? And healing ourselves speeds up our mission here on Earth. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And why now have these chambers been channeled through? Why is this the time, right? And who brought these through? Lord Ashatar. We're going to talk about Lord Ashatar. And how can we help the collective at this time? What is our part in the awakening journey of love? So all that and more. We're also going to do a process, I think, and do some mini readings as well. And so Susan's been on our show many times. We love having her come back. She's known as a spiritual scientist, originally trained in psychology and psychotherapy over 20 years ago. And in the last 12 years, she's added many energy healing modalities to her practice. Susan has an extensive toolbox, which has allowed her to create her own unique way of working. And Susan has been a therapist for over 20 years, and in that time has specialized in helping people to clear their trauma on all different levels. Susan is trained in meta health, helping people to find their own inner healer and facilitating their healing journey of the body. So we're going to talk a lot about that as well, about the healing traumas especially, and why that's important, and so much more. So Susan, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you're taking time away on your vacation to be with us. So we will try and make sure that we just get right to it so we don't drag you away too long from your vacation. I'm so glad you're here though. Thank you.
That's all right. Last night of the vacation, so it's fine. We go home tomorrow, so it works really well. Awesome. Thank you ever so much, Alara, for having me again. Thank you for having me on this season. And it is always lovely to be with you and share space. So thank you.
And so I kind of briefly mentioned we're going to be taking live caller questions, so you can raise your hand or you can type your question in the chat. So we'll see how that goes as well, right, Susan?
Yeah. As always.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start off? I mean, let's start off by talking about your spiritual awakening, what that was like, and how that has led to who you are today and where you are now and what you're doing now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have many spiritual awakenings in our life, don't we? But there are pivotal moments that I feel really show us our journey. And we can either choose to listen to them or choose not to. And one of my specific ones was really about the age of 27, and where I had a friend at that time who previously was a boyfriend who actually took his life. And so when that happened, a few months after that, I had a visitation. And that was the journey of understanding that we were so much more than who we were. And so I always kind of knew that there was something else, but because I was a psychologist and, evidence-based practitioner, and I was training in psychotherapy at the same time, I actually, something like that was definitely not in my remit. Well, I didn't think so anyway. So I had this experience where I was lying in bed, and maybe some of you have had a similar experience, where you actually feel like there's someone in the room, and that's what happened to me. And it was a sense that someone was trying to wake me up, and they kind of put their hand on my shoulder. And even though I was asleep, I was very consciously awake, and yet I couldn't move in that sense. So it wasn't like I was awake and I could have got up. It was kind of a real different consciousness. And so after that experience, somebody got me a reading a few months later, because I kept feeling that, I had people with me, even though I lived on my own in a flat in London. I kept feeling, oh my goodness, I don't want to go to sleep just in case that happens again. Because at that point, I didn't know that it was actually Martin, who, was the name of my friend. And so I had this reading, and they just basically told me everything about Martin and I and our trips to New Zealand and traveling. And, this person knew everything. And some of the things I didn't even tell anyone, places we'd been to. And so then I realized that actually spirit can communicate with us. And so then I decided, no, that wasn't the journey I wanted to go on at all, and resisted it for years and years and years. And then eventually it just happened upon me, and I started doing meditation, and then my whole world opened up. And that's kind of like a shortened version. And by that time, I was working in child protection as a specialist in trauma. Hence, my background in trauma. And essentially, I was living a parallel life then. I was a medium on the platforms in London, giving evidence of survival and working kind of, I suppose, underground, working in trauma therapy, but actually using my abilities without telling anyone really. So it was those days, where you didn't really talk about it very much, was now we're very open and able to talk about who we are spiritually. In those days, you just didn't really talk about it. It's kind of one of those kind of taboo subjects, talking about people that have passed over. So that was kind of that's a very shortened version of my spiritual awakening. But when you're I was so scientifically trained, in my degrees were in psychotherapy and psychology, and then latterly some other qualifications we can talk about. But at that time, I was just evidence-based, like literally I needed evidence for everything. So I think being given the ability to see spirit, hear spirit, and feel, I think that was really important. And I think if I hadn't been given those abilities, then I probably wouldn't have gone down that road. So that was kind of my awakening part.
Well, I'm so glad you did go down that road, because it has made a huge difference in so many people's lives, including your own, right? The healing modalities that you work with, etc. So much has changed, right?
Oh, I mean, that was quite a long time ago. I'm 52 now, and at 27, that's quite a long time ago. But yeah, lots has happened since then. And obviously I work with disease, and I call it disease, but disease and so on. And so I'm trained in mental health, I'm trained in neuropsychology, I'm trained as a naturopath. I've trained in many different modalities, such as EFT, which I don't really use now, but EFT and many other, healing, all sorts of things. And I've kind of put it all together. And the most important thing I think about the work that I've been given, and I call it being given because, obviously it's our beautiful ability to connect with source, which gives us our gifts of remembering who we are. And so I feel like the combination of helping people release trauma and channeling information from the guides, I think is really my key work. And I think mission is that key. So helping people release this so that they can align more fully to their mission. I truly believe I live my mission, and living that kind of life is just really the best thing ever, because you don't actually feel like you're working, and you're happy to do shows when you are away on holiday.
Exactly.
Because it's not work, it's not like work. So yeah.
Totally agree. So let's talk a little bit about, so many of us work with the galactics, right? And but this galactic technology, especially the chambers, the healing chambers, let's talk a little bit about that for people who may not know what galactic technology even is.
Sure. Well, around about August last year on the 8/8 portal, so August the 8th, I was given these galactic healing portals. And essentially the chambers were a kind of like, if you imagine it in your mind, a crystal chamber. And within that crystal healing chamber are many beings of light. So depending on which chamber it is, will depend on which beings of light are there to help us. And I was channeled these around that time. And I said, I always question everything that my guides give me. And I'm like, why are you giving me these right now? And they said, because this is the time now for us to really speed up our healing so that we can trust and surrender. So essentially, when we enter these chambers, which are remote and channeled, we are trusting and surrendering. So depending on the subject that we are entering with will depend on what gets cleared out and shown to us as well, I will say, and so that we can step more fully into our best experience. So, for example, this really our conversation today is about trauma, addiction, etc. But what happens is we clear out everything we don't know that we don't know. So, all the days where we used to really trawl through, I definitely did as a psychotherapist, we'd trawl through what we know. This is what we don't know. So we can enter it and say, well, actually, I've had a traumatic childhood experience, and you have that consciousness and that awareness, but you actually don't know where some of that came from. And that could have come from ancestral lineage, as we all know, or past lives or whatever. So the galactic aspect of it is where many of the galactic guides come in, and they work with healing the thought forms. So, we have many thought forms. We can talk about affirmations, we can talk about being positive, but if we're running that frequency of that thought form, then that is creating our reality, as we know. And it's not really just the words we say, but it's the words we don't say that are in our frequency that are more important. Yeah. So what the chambers do is they work on so many different levels. For example, they'll work with the thoughts, they'll work with the physical body, they'll work with the auric field, our light body, and they'll also work with our ancestral lineage and our past lives. So whatever we need to heal will get healed in the chambers, and very, very quickly, actually.
And it's not about, you don't have to feel what's happening. You just have to trust that it is happening and that it's being healed.
Some people do, and they write to me and say, within 24 hours of stepping into the chamber, I could feel a lightness when I woke up in the morning. People do say that, but some people don't. Some people just say, actually, I started to notice I didn't want my coffee in the morning, or in a sense of addiction. I started to notice that my relationships were calmer and more harmonious, or I was able to speak from my heart, or just opportunities opening up, all sorts of things. Yeah. So
beautiful. Yeah. And that's the thing, it's about when you are choosing to be part of the healing chamber, you're giving your consent, and you're saying, yes, I want a transformation, I want a change, and then being willing to know that yes, it's happened and is happening, and then noticing the change. Right.
Observing ways. Observing it, absolutely. Being the observer of your life, you can actually sort of see those things unfold in front of you. And sometimes it does bring things up, which I think is a really good thing, because if it's stuck inside of you, like your eye, it's showing you something, it's like healing because it needs to be healed and it needs to show you. Sometimes physically things like that happen, but usually somebody might feel, they might feel very, very peaceful. And then the next day they might feel a little bit emotional. They might be thinking about somebody, and that's all perfect because it's all coming up to be healed. Yeah,
absolutely. So trust. So, and so we were talking about healing our traumas, and, we've all had traumas that need to be healed. And for a lot of us, we have done the work. And so we have healed a great deal of our traumas from the past, but there are still some that may still be lingering, and you may still have. So why is it so important to heal our traumas now and so quickly?
So we hear the word ascension a lot, and people speak about ascension, but if we can look at it as everything's speeding up, our journeys are speeding up. We've been through quite a big awakening, we'd like to say, over the last couple of years. We all have. Doesn't matter where you live in the world, whether you're UK, whether you're Australia, wherever you are in the States, wherever, Vienna, it's been an awakening for all of us.
Yes.
And so we've all really shifted what we might call timelines. And those timelines are really our experiences of where we are stepping forward into. You okay? You still got me? That's it, yeah. I'm just checking. Where we're stepping into these new parts of ourselves. So we're recreating ourselves. And so what the chambers do, you know, why I think they've been brought in, is so that we can literally just hand it over. And Jeshua, you know, comes through a lot. Mother Mary comes through a lot. And they just want us to trust and to say, okay, right, I don't know how this is going to change, i.e., you know, perhaps I've had this addiction for a long time or this trauma for a long time. I don't know how it's going to change. I've done everything I can, but I'm just going to step in and I'm going to surrender it. Yeah. And I think it's because we can no longer trawl through. And I think we just need to trust and just say, this is where I want to be. I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be of service, which is what it's all about, really. I want to be truly living my mission. And I don't know how that is or how it's going to look, but I trust that I need to just fine tune my frequency. And we all know that it is about our frequency, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, living our frequency, the highest that we can live it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Whew, so much to talk about. So where do you want to, so we've talked about traumas, we've talked about timelines, we've talked about the healing chambers, and obviously whenever we work with ourselves, whether it's through the Galactic Chambers or not, we are automatically helping the collective as well, are we not?
Absolutely, because you are me and I am you, right? So as we shift our frequency, we're helping everyone shift our frequency. So, you know, we are sharing the world, as, you know, what the guides are giving me now is a kind of a vision of how, as we're shifting our light and our light is becoming brighter and more expanded, then everyone else can feel that. You know, every single person feels that. You must have seen, you know, if you're watching this, when a child or a baby looks at you, you know, I've seen that a lot here while I've been away. And I've noticed in restaurants where they look straight at you and they look straight at your light, you know, and it's because they can see your light. We can't always see everyone's light, you know, we're not always in that frequency to see it. But if you imagine, they're seeing it clearly. So that's who we are. And as we're stepping forward in our life, the brighter we are, definitely the more abundant we are, the freer we are in our life, but also the more that we're healing. And so as we're healing Mother Earth, we're healing, you know, the beings that are helping with us, you know, helping our journey with us. And every part of us is assisting in this ascension. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so we have a lot of hands raised and questions in the chat. So I know we're going to still talk about quite a bit of other stuff as well about the Galactic Chambers and the healing and etc. But do you want to take a few questions and see where we're going?
Absolutely. Yeah, my guides are right here. So
awesome. All right. So let's start with Layla. Layla, you want to unmute yourself? There you go.
Oh, Layla, hello. Hi. You don't normally see me. Hi, you okay?
The first thing that comes in is about my root chakra.
Okay, yeah. What do you want to ask me?
It feels like it's bruised. And I didn't do anything to it, but it feels bruised. And I don't know if it relates to the addiction or the childhood trauma that we're talking about.
Yeah,
but
I have I mean, Mother Mary is the one that's oh, lovely. I like that. That was quite good. Thanks, Joseph. So Mother Mary steps in here, and she's the first one that's kind of stepping forward here, and she's holding a baby in her arms. And so the sense that I'm getting here is the true baby self, Layla. So an aspect of your baby self that is, and I'm hearing confusion, which is why I couldn't say aspect properly. So the confusion about being here in the world. Yeah. And so it's a feeling of sort of 2-3 months old, coming in. You're not in the womb. I'm not seeing in the womb, but I'm seeing when you're about 2-3 months old. And I feel like that confusion is being held. I'm not getting the word bruising. I'm not getting that sense, but I am definitely getting confusion. Okay. So would that make sense to you that, you know, perhaps around about your early, you know, experience would be perhaps a bit confusing? I think for a lot of people it would be.
Yeah, when I meditate, I go to very young ages, and that part of me has a real challenge being like, oh gosh, again, you know,
Yeah.
like being in this world
So how do you
again.
feel it plays out for you? So how do you feel that, because, you know, if we think about it to help other people as well, is if you imagine you have an initial experience of confusion. And I work with this a lot with veterans actually in the years when I used to work with them, where the baby self was actually on high alert, and, you know, the PTSD symptoms were there with veterans at this point. And when we worked with little parts of them, there was a lot of confusion about being here in the world. Okay, so how does that play out for you, Layla, in your experience? Do you feel?
I often hear or feel in many different circumstances, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what the mission is. I don't know what tires to pick. I don't know which task to do next. I don't know, should I eat this? I just don't know.
So I think what I feel, Alara, what I want to do here is, and I think this will really help everyone. So Layla, thank you for being the conduit for this, really, because I feel what they want to do is a particular piece of compassion with the little baby selves that we have. Okay, so if we can just come into our heart space, so just come into your heart, everybody. And even if you don't think that you have a baby self that needs this, just honor the fact that give yourself compassion. Okay, so I want you just to say in your heart or out loud, imagining that you have your baby self present with you. I'm so sorry that you felt the world was so confusing. And I'm so sorry that you felt there was no one there to help you understand it. And I'm so sorry that you felt you were doing it all on your own. And I'm so honored that you're here today, so that we can heal together. And remember that we are divine beings of light, having a human experience. And then I want you just to imagine that you can hold that baby self and bring them into your heart space now. And just imagine that you really had a baby that you were holding in your heart space, and how it would feel for that baby to feel completely safe in that moment. Okay, good. And Layla, particularly, I can see your root energy. And what I look for in people is, I look for the soul star and I look for the earth star. And what I'm actually seeing is sparkling roots coming down from your root to the earth star, which what that tells me is that there's an opening there of being connected and supported by Mother, meaning Mother Earth. All right. So how are you feeling?
I just feel sadness maybe coming to be released. And
yeah, well, you're giving yourself compassion. So what happens with that is that as we are acknowledging ourselves, we are able to feel that sense that we're honoring ourselves. And so we very rarely do that. You know, we very rarely in our life give ourselves compassion, and we very rarely honor ourselves. Okay, so actually saying those words actually allow us to feel that frequency of unconditional love, essentially.
yeah. And I can see like that little child, kind of like that baby, like kind of looking around now.
Yeah, in wonder.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
more curious.
as opposed to, oh my goodness, like the world's really scary and I'm just not really sure whether I can do this or not. I can't even choose tires. Yeah.
Yeah.
In case, because I have to do it all on my own. Yeah. Thanks, Leda. Thank you. I'm sure.
Thank you.
A lot of people actually.
I'm so grateful.
Well, thank you,
Thanks,
Layla.
Alara.
Good, thank you. All right, there's a question from Casey in the chat. Whoops. Where should Casey? Casey says, please scan me to get a sense of what is going on with my body. I've been on a healing journey for many years and not doing better. In fact, have developed new issues: systemic infections, periodontal disease, hypothyroid, adrenal fatigue, other hormone imbalances, etc. Anyways, hope you can find my root causes and advise me how to proceed.
So, I mean, I was actually firstly drawn to the solar plexus, but what I will tell you about any hormonal issues, just from my mental health training and from my neuropsychology aspect, this is about the endocrine system. Okay, so when there's something going on with our thymus thyroid area, which is right here in our chest, and most people know, kind of just down from the throat, this is about our loss of power, so feeling powerless and so on. And when it actually gets to that point, we've started with the adrenals, we've worked up to the reproductive, we've then gone to the pancreas, okay? Then we've gone up higher and higher. And so what's happening is the endocrine system is under challenge, okay? So that is from a huge amount of stress and dehydration. And so I can hear this. And sometimes what happens, yeah, thank you. Sometimes what happens is that when we do a lot of deep healing, if we are not doing it in a way where we're actually really being very kind to ourselves, then aspects of ourselves come up to go, hello, you know, you feel completely powerless in this journey, etc., etc., etc. And so what happens then is the physical body, which is the barometer for our soul, will keep talking to us until we actually are kind to ourselves. So one of the feelings I'm getting for you, this lady who's written in, is the peace chamber. So the peace chamber is amazing because what it does is allows you just to literally surrender yourself to have peace in your body, peace in your mind, and peace in your whole frequency. Okay, and anything that is not at peace, I call it unpeace, which isn't a word, but anything that is unpeace actually gets to leave. And so it allows people to just kind of be in that presence. And the feeling I'm getting very much is that there is scattered frequency. And I think it's because this person isn't able to be at peace. Yeah, thank you. Guides are chatting away to me. So we have something called the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is really about our breath as well. So it's really important to be in the parasympathetic, which is where we're actually in our calm state. So one thing that we can do to actually connect with that is to breathe into the diaphragm rather than up into the top of our chest. So when we actually breathe right down into the diaphragm, into our stomach, we're actually taking that breath and calming down our central nervous system. And so we breathe in through our nose and breathe out through our mouth. And that is a really good way to, every single day, just to bring ourselves back to that parasympathetic. When we're in the sympathetic, which is kind of ironic, really, because the word sympathy, you would think it would be the other way around. But the sympathetic nervous system is where it's actually working on high alert. All right. So I'm feeling that strongly, this person. And what's her name again? Alara, I'm sorry, I've forgotten.
Casey.
Casey. So where I was drawn initially, so Ashatar's here, but initially to the solar plexus, this would make sense to me, because when we've had a lot of situations in our life where we've been on high alert, maybe as a child, as an empath, whatever it might be, we are holding it there in our solar plexus. And so it can be quite tight, which is also our digestion, which is also right in a place where we need to breathe right down for the parasympathetic. So it kind of makes sense. So I hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Melissa, you want to unmute yourself?
Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Yes, I'm having some I'm trying to figure, I'm having a lot of issues right now with my lower abdomen.
1 second, bear with me a second. I'm still here, but I think there's something. Oh gosh, this is a problem with being in a hotel room. Right. Is that right? Yeah, I'm there. Good. Sorry, carry on. Sorry, Laura.
It's okay. Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay. I'm having issues for the last few days, very, very intense with my lower abdomen. I don't know if it's like a blockage, like a bowel blockage, or my appendix. At first I thought it was diverticulitis. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm hoping maybe you can give me some insight into the what's causing this. I keep looking at issues, but I'm not getting really clear on what's going on.
Yeah, so what I'm feeling drawn to do with you, Melissa, and perhaps everyone can do this as well, is our body's always talking to us, as I said before. It's a barometer for our soul, okay? So I want you just to come into your heart. I can see this, so just come into your heart space. Let's do some parasympathetic breathing. So come into your heart and breathe in through your nose. And then breathe out through your mouth. Okay, and I want you to do that 3 times. Breathe in through your nose. And breathe out through your mouth. Brilliant. And one more time. And I want you just to call in your guides. I already prepared the space, so the space is sacred that we're working in. So just bring your guides in. Even if you don't know who they are, just invite them in. And I want you to close your eyes. And I want you just to focus on that area in your body. I want you to give me a color, the first one that comes.
Red.
And I want you to ask that red, how is it feeling? What's the first thing you get?
Constricted.
If it could talk to you, what emotion would it tell you it's feeling?
It's
so a really good way
going from, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just like first it felt like sadness, and then it got very anxious. It went from sadness to anxious to I guess almost like fear. Yeah.
So we only have fear or love on a spectrum, but essentially it's many different emotions in between that. Okay, so there's fear and love at the extremes, And what I want you to say is these words. So I just want you to connect with that area in your body and just say, as I connect with my body, I feel. Say it out loud.
Out loud.
As I connect with my body, I feel. And what emotion is coming up, or what emotion are you feeling?
As I connect with my body, I feel.
It's the first one that you feel.
Loving and expansive is coming. I can feel energy moving out, like expanding out.
Good. And I can see, I mean, what I was getting initially, and the reason why I've taken you down this journey, okay, is because I know that you have the power to connect with this, okay? And what the guides were telling you is that sometimes you give that power away, okay? And you actually have this power to do this. I know you know this, right? And so what I was seeing in there was just some old anger that was just fear. Yeah, just fear. That's all. And it was about our power. It's about the fear of losing my power. Okay. So I wanted you to connect with the actual emotion so that you could expand that energy. And by bringing your guides in first, you're giving permission for your guides to actually help you heal this. Okay. And that's the reason why I took you down that road. So how does it feel now there in that part of your body?
Well, first of all, you're very right. Oh, this is really emotional for me. You're very right on about the power, giving the power away, because I had an incident happen a few weeks ago, and where someone was helping me and watching my deceased son's dog for me, and I went to get the dog back and they wouldn't give it back to me. And it was really weird. It was one of those gaslighting situations it turned into, and it was very uncomfortable for me. And I just kept trying to figure out, is this about me and my power, or is this about the best interest in the dog? And I couldn't get clear, and it was such a horrible struggle. And I finally left, and I left the dog with her, thinking that that was the right thing to do, because, I kept trying to check in with him and he seemed happy, but I haven't had any level of peace ever since. I just feel horrible about that. Like it was a power struggle. I didn't take my power, but I don't want to be in that situation. I just want the truth. Is that what it is? Or, is it me just wanting to be powerful and no, that's mine and I have to be right? I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be in the highest interest of the dog.
So the thing about animals, and I know Alara will agree with you with this, the thing about animals is they have an absolutely incredible way of helping us to heal stuff that we haven't healed before. Yeah, or we haven't looked at. And so that animal, that dog, is giving you a gift. Okay. And it just so happens Alara chose, you to have your question answered on her call today, on her show. And so you have to trust that these things always happen in alignment with what we need for our highest and best. So what I'm going to say to you is that today is never about today. Okay. It's always about the frequency that we hold, and there's no judgment with any of that. There's no blame, there's no nothing with any of that. It just is who we are. So it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you've been bad or anything like that. It's not the way it works. It's just about our own healing journey. Okay. So just feel into your heart now. Okay. And I want you to expand your heart out. Imagine like a beautiful golden white light coming out from your heart. And I want you to send it out to that beautiful animal. Okay, you know what that animal looks like, right? So just send that light out to that animal and just send so much gratitude to that beautiful soul. Okay. And then I want you to bring that gratitude back to yourself, that love and gratitude back to yourself. Almost like imagine a ball of light in your heart. And then expand that out throughout the whole of your body. Okay. How do you feel
now? Excuse me. I feel a little better. Yes. Thank you.
Animals really do, don't they, Alara? They have such an incredible ability, especially when they pass over. They have an incredible ability to help us heal the grief that we haven't ever healed. Yeah.
So keep expanding out, Melissa, and just keep sending that love and gratitude to the dog and to yourself.
Okay, I'll do that. I just, thank you. This has been really big. I just can't, and I'm sure that's created this situation because I just can't, related to the power and just wanting to do the right thing and not able to get clear on what is the right thing, and not wanting to make it about me, but about the animal and his highest interest. And
I think you are doing that, which is why these emotions are coming up. You are, and you know what I'm hearing as well, which might really help you, is just to hand it over to your team, hand it over to your angels and your guides. Okay, and I have Joshua standing here now, so hand it over and just say, look, I know that I'm coming from my heart and I just want the best, okay, the highest and best for this situation, and hand it over. Yeah.
Okay. I really appreciate that. I'm sorry for going on. This is just, it's really traumatic because it brought up all the, all the grief from my son's passing. So it's just kind of everything got going again. I think
totally understandable. It's
okay. I just don't want to, I feel like somehow in the power situation, I feel like I've failed myself by this situation, and I don't know that that's true. That, I guess that's the hard part. I'll just keep working with my guides and asking for help. I don't want to take up any more time here, but I'm very, very grateful.
The peace chamber would be really helpful, Melissa.
All right, I'll go there.
Have a feel into it. Yeah.
All right, bless you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Alara.
All right, we're going to go to, so before we go to another question, Susan, was there anything else you wanted to share or talk about?
In the sense of, in what sense?
In the sense of like these chambers, these galactic chambers, like you were mentioning, the peace one for Melissa, and go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you know, ideally, you can be in as many chambers as you want to be. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you're overlapping them or in any way. It doesn't matter because you get exactly what you need. So you can just be in one if you choose to be, but you can be in many. So I just wanted to say that because your guides and your soul knows exactly what you need to heal. And so it's not sort of like, oh my goodness, if I put myself in 2 or 3 chambers, then it's too much, and it doesn't work that way. So just to know that you can trust and surrender and be in as many as you want to be. Yeah. Awesome.
So there's a question from Abby in the chat. She said, I would love an insight into my skin problems, particularly the psoriasis around my mouth and scalp, and how I can support it, plus overall fatigue.
Yeah, so when we have a skin condition, so our skin is essentially, yes, it's the largest organ of our body, but it's also showing a separation conflict. Okay, so it's one of my favorite things to work with, actually. So when we have something showing on our skin, and psoriasis is actually a double conflict. So psoriasis is I have a fear of separation, but I also want to be separated. Okay, and quite often I see this with people when they have difficulties with their mother relationship, and it's often that they don't want to be separated, the fear of separation, because it might be a difficult relationship, or they want to be separated, they want to get out, they want to leave, they don't want to be around that person, they don't want to be around that caregiver. And so what happens then is psoriasis comes up, and the reason for that is it's a double conflict. Eczema is I have a fear of separation, so I am afraid of being separated. And when we have eczema showing up, it means I've accepted that I'm not separated. Okay, but obviously if it continues, then there's a deeper separation conflict, which I'm coming to now, because when someone has it on their head, it tells me that there is a fear of separation of God source. And I stumbled upon this many years ago when I'd worked with birth trauma and babies that had eczema, and I'd worked with the mother with the trauma of the birth, and then the baby's eczema would clear up, and it was like, wow, that's really interesting. And then I worked with adults who had the mother conflict, so we healed that, and then it was like, actually there's something else here, and it went right back to our connection to God source and Mother Earth. So it's very fascinating the way our skin and our body will show us that message. So I don't know if that makes sense to this lady, but definitely,
Abby, hopefully that resonates with you in some way.
Separation conflict is the cortex part of the brain, and it is around separation. And so definitely the trauma chamber would be really good for that. To set
and it's around her mouth and scalp. So yeah, and you know, what is this around our mouth? It's kissing, it's communication, and scalp is our connection to source, right? Yeah, absolutely. Good.
Yeah.
So let us know how that resonates. So just really quickly, Layla says she's been in 5 different chambers so far. Awesome, Layla. And Casey says that thank you. And so the peace chamber would be enough for Casey?
For Casey, sorry, I'm going to have to remind her because everything is channeled. So what was her?
Casey was the first person we spoke to, and she has the infections, the hypothyroid, periodontal, adrenal fatigue, and other hormonal imbalances.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that there's quite a few different levels there. So it could be that there were, you know, some parts of her, and I'm getting empath here. So parts of her that kind of expanded her field to be on high alert, and if that makes sense to her. And so the PTSD empath trauma chamber would be really good as well for her. Yeah. And the peace one kind of, you know, is the icing on the cake.
Awesome. Good. Thank you. All right, Linda, you've had your hand raised for a long time.
Yes. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Linda again. Hi.
Okay. My question is, what's the difference in how many galactic chambers are there versus like the med beds? What's the difference between the two?
Oh, yeah, people have spoken to me about this, and I've obviously read about it and you know, learned about it a lot. Have you got a TV on?
I'm gonna mute you, Linda.
No, just a second, please. Robert, shut up. Shut up.
Oh, you're not talking to me?
No.
Oh.
Go. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Oh, it's so funny, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Oh, where am I? Okay.
Med beds, difference between med beds and the chambers.
So,
and how many chambers are there?
The thing with the med beds is a physicality. As far as I know, it's an actual physical thing that we would be lying on, we would be, you know, physically doing. Is this is right? Yeah, this is what I know about med beds. But with the Galactic Crystal Healing Chambers, they are remote. So they're already created in the frequency for the specific aspect. I have many of them, but for today, you know, we're talking about the package that I put together, which I was really guided to put together, which was around the trauma piece and addiction and, you know, of bringing peace to ourselves. But yes, I have many healing chambers, absolutely, even an animal one, you know, which is great. So there are so many. And so, yeah. And actually, I haven't created any for quite a while, but sometimes I do get told, like, we need to bring this one in as well. And the animal one has been the most recent one.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about
Thank
the
you.
mix up.
No, that's all right. No problem. No problem.
Thank
at
you,
all.
Linda.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah, you've had your hand raised for a while, and you wrote your question in the chat. So is it the same
That's
question
my
that's in the
daughter's
chat,
name, Sarah.
Sarah?
That's my daughter's name. Yeah.
Pronounced Sarah because, you know, everybody gives me grief about that.
Same. Yeah, she gets called Sarah everywhere. So it's Sarah and it's spelled exactly how yours is.
Well, you know, that's the original Hebrew spelling, so it's got its own energy. Thank you so
Means
much,
warrior
Laura, for
princess.
calling on me.
So
I
what's
think
your
it means
question,
warrior.
Sarah?
I have just been wanting to connect with you for so long. I feel like there's something that you may have for me. I've been working away for more than 20 years, trying to come to a level of seeing so I can heal and help and all that. And it's a thick curtain, and the trickle of light comes through, but not that much. And as far as all the other things I've done to heal that I can't smell, and I have arthritis and allergies and all that, I've kind of just decided none of that's going to heal, and I'll just concentrate on trying to be able to see on more levels and help others, and maybe that'll translate to me. But I love you. I love your work. I think you're so generous. I'm so thrilled to be able to talk with you.
Thanks, Sarah. So your question would be, what I'm hearing that you're saying is, what is it that stops me from being able to connect on a deeper level? Is that what you're saying, really?
Yes, and I meditate 2 hours a day, and I lay on the grass, and I hug trees, and I ground, yada yada, all that, everything.
So I think it's more about the psychic abilities, right? The seeing, etc. And
Yeah, thank
hearing.
you, Laura. Okay, yeah,
Wow.
sure. Well, you know, from someone who's been a medium for a very, very, very long time, and someone who resisted it for a very long time, I never ever wanted to do it. So for me, it was the opposite. I didn't want that. And so what I say to people is that it's not really about meditating for 2 hours a day. It's about the key aspect, which is trust. And so when we heal the frequency of trust, not just with our guides, that is secondary, but trust within ourselves. When we have that frequency of trust within ourselves, we then can trust that the universe has our back. We then are able to trust that we have our guides, our angels, we have everyone with us. Then what happens is the veil, thank you, the veil gets lifted. This is what I'm hearing from the guides. They're talking to you directly. So the veil gets lifted, all right? So what I'm seeing in your field, if it's okay for me to share, Sarah, is what I'm seeing is almost like a cloak around you, okay? And this cloak I see as a cloak of protection, all right? So not the kind of cloak of protection that we might put on when I'm doing inner child work and magic wands and so on, but actually protecting you in the sense that you don't want that energy to be part of you. And that's not your conscious thinking. That is from many times before, okay? So we've lived many lives before, and I know you know this, but I'm just going to remind you, because sometimes it's good to hear it again. I definitely love that when people tell me things I already know. So just think of it this way, that we've had many, many times before, we've had many lifetimes, many experiences, many times we've been killed for being a healer, for being a heretic, for, you know, all of that stuff. And so with the trauma chamber, if you feel drawn to step into it, what that does is that heals a lot of lifetimes and ancestral lineage as well. And what I'm seeing in your field is just this cloak. And I'm just going to ask, bear with me just a second. I'm just going to, your guides can chat to my guides. Just one sec. Just, yeah, okay, thanks. So they're telling me that you have the ability, so they're showing me you being able to see for others. So this actually is your gift to bring in. And I'm seeing you, you're not necessarily going to do this, but I can see you with like a crystal ball. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to use a crystal ball.
I have a crystal ball.
Okay, so you holding the crystal ball, I can see you seeing into it for others. And I'm hearing the word seer. So I feel, you know, bringing in those gifts from other times will be really, really helpful for you. And it is the trust and it is the remembering. So I see the cloak there and I see like the chink of light. And I think you did say it about there being like a trickle or a chink of light coming in when you do your work. And the sense I'm getting here is, yeah, thank you, is truly healing those lifetimes where you were killed for being a healer, a heretic. And I feel also there were many times as well that, yeah, thank you, there's like a karmic balance needed here as well, where you would have done that. We've done everything, right? We've been everything, no judgment with it, but where you would have done that. So, you know, perhaps it would have been betrayal, and betrayal on your side, betrayal on another side. And that's what I'm hearing. So the lack of trust aspect of bringing them through actually is coming from the Akashic, you know what the Akashic records are, yeah? So we hold all of those lifetimes, all right? So I just want you to, in fact, let's just do a little bit. This can be for everybody, Alara. I'm just hearing, as a particular way that I do this when we're healing these particular lifetimes. So you just receive, okay? Create all this. It's commanded that you pull, click, cancel, and delete on all four levels and resolve on the history level, particularly for Sarah, but anybody else who holds the same frequency of these lifetimes, to release them across all timelines, all dimensions, any time at all, that we have been killed for being a healer, we have been betrayed for being a healer. Oh, okay, good. And any time that we have felt, thank you, that we have not completed our mission, to release all these lifetimes now. Some religious ones here as well. The feeling that to release all sacrifice to God, all sacrifice to another, and all sacrifice to ourselves, and to release this all now. And anything seen or unseen, known or unknown, that holds the frequency that stops us from connecting with trust in our guides, trust in our angels, trust in God, source energy, and trusting ourselves, to release it now. It's commanding that this is released so that we may all be free. Tis done, tis done, tis done. Thank you. Okay, take a deep breath. How does that feel, Sarah?
Well, I started crying.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a lot of trauma, and I've been having traumatic incidents every other day for 2 weeks now.
Okay. Yeah.
I just thank you.
Going up in your field, and you know, and what's really interesting is we were talking, I don't know if you were here at the top when I was talking to Alara when we first came on, and I was saying about how we're going through this Neptune Jupiter conjunction. Jupiter expands everything, and Neptune is the hidden part of our spiritual self. And of course, full moon in Libra this week and as well is about, you know, our relationship to others, but our relationship to self. So what I think is happening here for you, Sarah, is something's being uncovered for you. And it's the 12th today, and this is the day that this conjunction is happening. And something's being uncovered for you. So I'm really feeling strongly around your spiritual connection, that perhaps you didn't know that you did know, but you didn't know, you hadn't remembered. And I feel that's what we've just released. So as I look at your cloak now, I see it like a sparkly one, which is just really a, you know, like a beautiful sparkly cloak, as opposed to one that was stopping the connection. So see how you go. excuse me, see how you go now. You don't have to sit in meditation for 2 hours. You can, and you absolutely can choose to do that. But I would just say, you know, to find a beautiful place in nature and just be in that place and just breathe, as we said, the breathing we talked with somebody else about, and just come into that parasympathetic and just really honor yourself and trust yourself and know that, you know, yes, something else is coming. If you hadn't have experienced that, where you haven't been able to connect, then you never would go to the next level. Yeah, it's the same with money, it's the same with relationships, it's the same with body. We have to have these messages showing up, because if we didn't have them showing up, we wouldn't do anything about it, would we?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how timely that today is the day that, you know, I have to be on the show with Alara. We booked this ages ago, Laura, didn't we? Before I even booked my holiday to Cyprus, we booked this. So we, you know, you've chosen this day to speak about it and to heal it. All right. So there's no mistakes.
I am so grateful, and I do go to the redwoods or the ocean every day and connect there too. And to connect with you is like connecting with a star. I feel the light. I feel the healing. Thank you so
Well, thank you. The guides, I mean, the guides, I honor my guides that I work with, and right now, you know, there are particular guides that work with me, but remember, our guides change. Okay, so depending on our frequency, depending on what we're doing in the world, wherever we are, our guides will come in and out, you know, and choose to come in and work at certain points. Okay, so what you're sensing as well is the light beings that work with me, the galactic light beings as well, so you can feel that star energy as well, which is really great. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Good.
Great.
All right, so let's see. All right, so I want to take a few minutes and talk about the packages, Susan, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, because I'm looking at the time, but you know what's interesting, and I hope it's nothing, but you know how we were talking at the beginning of the call that, you know, we were talking about my left eye is getting better, you know, it's like, it's all good now, it's getting better. And now on this call, my right eye is like driving me crazy. It's like, what the heck, you know? So it's like, keep like trying not to touch it, but it's like, it's just driving me crazy. So I was like, wonder what else is coming up to be cleared.
Maybe we need to put you in the trauma chamber, Laura.
Maybe there's something there. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So the packages for Susan, are available at alara.at/show/Susan4. Let's hope that works. Let me share my screen 1 sec. Okay, so I think this is good. All right, so there are 3 packages, package A, B, and C. And package A is 1 month in one of the healing chambers. And so there are the PTSD, trauma, empath healing chamber. Then there's the addiction healing chamber and the peace healing chamber, right?
Yeah.
So 1 month in one of these, plus you also get the these replays 1 and 2, healing and clearing the times your inner child felt unprotected, and healing and clearing the times in your past lives, ancestral lineage, and Akashic records where you felt unprotected. So let's talk a little bit about these 3 healing chambers, and
sure.
Go ahead.
I mean, the healing chambers kind of speak for themselves. The addiction one is very much about, you know, things that come up in our life where we feel we can't be without. So you know what addiction is. But I always find that addiction is about the feeling that we're finding something to connect. So to connect with our deepest source within. Okay, so we choose something outside of us, whether it is coffee, alcohol, bread, you know, cigarettes, whatever it might be. I spent many years working in addiction in my trauma days of, you know, child protection. And what I found was there was as much as people might be, you know, taking a lot of drugs and so on, actually what they were trying to do was actually go within and find that peace and that source within. So this is a great chamber if you feel like, you know, a thing in your life is, you know, you're feeling addicted to something, then you just step into it and just allow it to release and heal. But it's really about our connection to source. And, you know, Melchizedek's often there, and he's in the corner of the chamber and helping with mission. So it's always about that.
Nice.
The PTSD trauma one we've spoken about quite a lot. And so, you know, whether you know that you've had a specific trauma or whether you don't, it allows us then to release those parts of us that were on guard, you know, like we, you know, we come into this world on guard quite often if we've had traumatic birth, or if we've had grown in the womb and we've had traumatic experience there. But also we've brought in many aspects which we've just experienced, you know, from lifetimes before, where we've been killed for being a healer, etc. And quite often we don't even know what those are. Okay, so this is a really good one. I also find what's really helpful about this is that this is an indication of an empath. Yeah, so when we've had to be on guard as a child, or you know, we feel you know, that we can really feel everyone's energy and it really affects us. Often that's because in our field we've had to kind of look behind us. So we've had to be on guard and we've had to be protecting of ourselves. And so we've expanded our field so much that we actually then get affected by other people's energy. Yeah. So this is a really good one for that as well. Even if you don't feel you've had any, you know, trauma or anything like that. You can read all the different guides that are in there. It's beautiful to read, you know, who pop in to help us with that. And a lot of angelic help as well. So we've done the addiction one. So the peace one really is, you know, all of those times that we felt that unpeace, you know, that inner voice that's always saying to ourselves, you know, those words, you know, whether we are, you know, feeling that we're on this high alert all of the time, or we feel a bit anxious. This is a really great one to step into. So you might want to do all three. Package A is essentially you can choose one, and that's perfectly fine, whatever you're drawn to. That also includes, let's go package A first. So that also includes 4 hours of healing work, which I put in here because I felt it would go really well together. And the first one is 2 hours of healing around your inner child. And I find sometimes it's helpful to do that work, like I did with some people today, you know, to actually really acknowledge that part of you, which is really a beautiful process. So we'll be doing a lot of that in the retreat, and, you know, lots and lots of different aspects come up, you know, that as a child we didn't know about. So that'll be really good. And then, of course, the other side of it is all of the lifetimes and the Akashic records and the lineage and so on. So we do, so it's 4 hours of work. It's a lot of work if people want to step into that. So I wanted to give that as an extra. So package B is all of that, but you actually get to be in all of the chambers. So, you know, 1 month in all of the chambers. Package C is all of that, all of the chambers and all of that, but a session with me. So if people wanted to do some private work with me, then I don't always offer that, but I am offering it today, Alara, with your community.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so the personal session with you, Susan, what types of issues, questions would they bring? Anything.
So, you know, really anything. I mean, I know that, you know, we're talking about trauma here today, but essentially anything. So it can be about your mission, it can be the connection to your guides, it can be relationships, it can be self-love, it can be anything at all. And to be honest, I don't really need to know, because when I sit down with someone, the guides already tell me. So, you know, you don't have to come with something, and I scan and I look and I see what's going on with your soul star and your earth star, and I can see where the traumas are and so on. So, you know, you don't really need to know. But equally, if there's something you specifically want to work with, absolutely, we can focus on that.
Awesome. And so all of these 3 packages, there are 2 and 3 part payment plans available, and you can use the 24-hour special gift code TACS10 as well as my gift from me. So use that as well. And definitely, if you can, you know, be in one chamber, do that. If not for 1 month, or do all, because each one is going to help you in different ways, right? So I know for myself, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's one thing, Laura, I forgot to say. When I first channeled the trauma one, I had an emergency cesarean with my daughter Sarah. She's nearly 15 now, but I had an emergency cesarean with her. And it was really interesting. As soon as I obviously try everything out myself before I even put it out there. And so I put myself in this trauma chamber, and I felt, it was so interesting. I felt the scar, and I felt almost like tingling. And so what I want to say is that any surgery as well that we've had that's traumatic, whether it's having a baby or whether it's any other surgery, that's also trauma. And I didn't realize that after, all that time, there was still healing that needed to go on around that emergency cesarean all those years ago. So it's fascinating, isn't it? That how I didn't know that, but obviously my soul knew that, and guides knew exactly what they wanted to work with. So I just wanted to say that as well, that it's not just about an emotional trauma, it's also about what's happening physically in your body as well.
Yeah. And you're right. That is something we tend to overlook or forget because, giving birth, it's so powerful and special and whatever, but we forget it's like, oh yeah, there was some trauma involved in it for sure. Yeah, good point. Thank you. All right. So I just want to again, quickly talk about that. Just the 2 and 3 part payment plans for package A, B, and C, the 10% gift code. The code is TACS10. Please do take advantage of that. All right, where are we? Here we go. All right, any other, do you want to take 1 or 2 more quick questions, or is there anything else you wanted to share? Because I don't want to take you away from your family and your vacation too long.
No, it's fine. What I wanted to do was actually just do a little kind of process that the guides would take us through, if that's all right, because I think that will really benefit everybody. Sure. And I can just feel them, coming through with this, just like 2 minutes. And then if we've got time, we can take, maybe 2 more questions or something.
Sure. Sounds good.
It's fine. Okay, so let's all come into our heart space. Good. And I want you just to imagine, as you breathe, just imagine a beautiful crystal star underneath your feet. And just connect with that crystal star, as this is your Earth star, which is connecting to Mother Earth and the new golden Earth that we're creating. This beautiful new golden Earth, this new frequency of love that we're creating by just being here on this planet. And I want you to imagine that your Earth star, your crystal Earth star, expands out into Mother Earth, into the golden energy. And just connect with how that feels as you start to feel more grounded and supported. And I want you to imagine that you're bringing up this beautiful golden energy up through that star, up through your feet, into every single cell of your body. And as this healing energy comes up, the guides are showing me that each one of the cells is opening up for healing. So just imagine that each one of your beautiful physical body cells is actually healing as this light transforms and expands throughout your body. So allow that light, imagine it as sparkles, going to any area in your body. You don't have to know, just watch as it flows throughout every area of your body, expanding right the way up, just remembering to breathe. And just feel that expansion right up to the top of your head. And then as you get to the top of your head, imagine just above your head, there is another beautiful star. And it's a beautiful silvery white golden star. And this is your soul star. And just imagine that expanding out into the universe and the multiverse. And just know that as you connect with this, you're connecting to all that is and to all the knowledge that you have within you. And I want you to bring, I can see rainbow light, so I just want you to bring down a rainbow frequency from your soul star all the way through the crown of your head. Yeah, they're saying to me, as you do this, know that you're downloading, interesting, downloading a new frequency of light, a new coding, a new coding of knowledge and wisdom to share with the world. So just bring that frequency of rainbow light through. Good. All the way through the body, and then they're showing me it coming through the higher heart. So just above the heart, imagine this beautiful rainbow frequency coming out of you and expanding, and send it out to the world, across the whole globe. And what I'm hearing is pure unconditional love. So just send this frequency of unconditional love out to the world. And just look, imagine in your eyes, you could see us all doing this. And as we're seeing this frequency of light, of pure unconditional love, expanding through us, we are feeling the unconditional love back to us. It's like an infinity. It's like an infinity happening here. I'm seeing this infinity frequency. So as we are sending out unconditional love, we're receiving unconditional love. So I want you just to really receive that. And even if you sometimes feel you're not worthy of it, or why should you do it, or who am I to share my love with the world, just receive it right now. Because as you receive that pure unconditional love, you are allowing others to receive it too. Yeah, and what the guides are saying to me is just really create something in your heart that you would like to bring into your life, that you would like to manifest. And just imagine that you're creating that in your heart space. And send that out to the world as your new imprinted version of you. Being, having, doing, whatever it might be. And bring that back to your heart. So just imagine it as a frequency, as an intention. And know that the universe, your guides, God has heard that frequency of your desire. And when you feel ready, you can come back. Alara's yawning, which is good. It's a good sign.
Yes, thank you.
I didn't know what you were going to do there, but I love that they were bringing in some manifesting. It's
Yeah,
really good.
that was very nice. Yeah, like Layla says, lots of yawning.
Yeah.
Goodness. There's something. So Layla said the energy with me today, as we're on this call, is very cold.
Yeah, she's just releasing. So she's releasing a lot of stuff that she doesn't need anymore.
Yeah, and she said, I just want to say I purchased the package last time Susan was on, and I had a one-on-one at that time with Susan. Was very helpful and clear and healing and spot on. Awesome. Thank you, Layla.
I'm looking at Sarah's crystal ball. She's got her crystal ball out.
Oh, does she? Nice. Yeah.
Well,
Beautiful.
actually, the crystal ball, I should say, came to me from a friend who died, who was my major advisor, and he was supposed to only leave it for a month, but he keeps leaving it. And I keep blessing him that he should leave it with me forever.
It's beautiful. Nice.
Beautiful.
Maybe he will. Who knows? Some heaviness was released, Tanya says. Awesome. Good. Thank you. Good to know. And thank you all for your blessings and healing and wishes. I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it'll pass. It'll be good. But thank you. Okay. So we'll take just one or two quick questions. Renee, you have a question, Renee?
We'll do one more just because I realize it's 11:30 here and the
Yeah.
children all need to go to bed. So
Exactly.
it's gone so quickly.
Renee, go ahead.
Hi, I was wondering if you could scan me. Hi, and see if there's any traumas that are blocking me. With just what you can tell me as far as that goes. I'm not aware of anything, but I'm sure that there are things.
Okay, I normally, if I was doing a scan, I normally would go, look at lots of different areas, but I'm going to ask the guys to just show me one area, okay, that might be coming up. So let me have a look. Yeah, so the first place that I see, and it's not really about trauma, it's with, I can see your soul star, and I can see there's just a little space in between your crown and your soul star, and all that tells me is there is a little bit of lack of trust, okay, in your connection to source. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what happens with that, it's just a little space, it's not a massive space. So I always look for soul star and earth star, as I've said before, and ordinarily I would go down and look at every area, but in this case I'm just going to look at that, and I can see that there is a little tiny almost like a space, but I can see that your crown is in the ascension frequency. So what I look for is to see where someone is in their ascension pathway. And I can see your crown is in the ascension frequency, which means there's just that little bit there of you with a lack of trust, thank you, trusting yourself. So what I'm hearing for you is that you actually do have an incredible, but do you use the cards at all? Do you use the divining tool? Okay, all right, so I see you doing that. It doesn't mean you have to, but I see you doing that. I see you using tools, but I feel it's like the trust aspect that will give you your trust. So if you do any work where you're helping people heal or giving them any visionary advice, then this would help you build your trust. Okay, so if you want to use anything, maybe the pendulum or muscle testing or something like that, if you use the tool, it allows you to get, thank you, allows you to get out of your head. This is what the guides are saying to me. So I feel like sometimes you analyze things a lot. I'm with you on that one, right? That's how I definitely used to be. So you analyze things a bit. If you have a tool, it gets you out of your head and stops you thinking, oh my goodness.
I use my body sometimes as a pendulum.
Okay, sure. And that's great, but sometimes we don't always trust that.
Right.
We don't always so sometimes we don't always trust it. So if you've got a tool, whatever you want to use, like Sarah's got her crystal ball, but you can use anything. And I find oracle cards with people. Sometimes if you're, if you don't trust always, you can ask a question and then an oracle card can give you the answer. And you're like, oh yeah, that's what I was feeling already. So it's like a confirmation. But as I'm saying this to you, I'm looking at the at your crown chakra, and I'm seeing more light going up to your soul star. So this tells me that there's a recognition within you that you can do that. Okay, so I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee.
Right.
And sometimes oracle cards are a great way to start, and it's just to build that trust and connection. Okay, so play with it. Awesome. Good. Thank you.
I love oracle cards. I love to use them on my moon events, on my astrology events, because it's just kind of nice to do those cards, one for each house. Yeah,
it's fun. It's just another tool to connect, to help with and give more information sometimes, and like you said, getting out of your head and getting out of the process and just going with the flow, right? And
we all love a reading, don't we? Everyone loves a reading.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. Melissa's
there was just one thing that's coming to me in the guide note. asking me. So in the session, if anyone wants the session, they can also use that as just a reading, like so mediumship reading or a reading like about their mission or anything they want. So, you know, you don't have to use it for healing. It can be just for a reading as well. Yeah.
Anything you like. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Awesome. Thank you. And Melissa said, love this process, feeling inspired and peaceful. Good. Thank you, Susan and Laura, for a deep healing, beautiful show today. Good. Awesome. Thank you. I love it. Linda had a crystal bowl healing yesterday. It was fantastic. Oh, yes. Yes. All those types of healings are so, so nice.
Sound healing is amazing. Sound healing. Quite often the guides will come through and do light language and sound healing as well, but they didn't do that tonight.
Yeah, I recognized that too. So I was like, oh, they didn't do any toning or light language today.
No,
okay.
They didn't.
Sometimes they do, right? So yeah.
Sometimes they do. I just go with what I'm told.
Yeah, exactly. So again, the packages for Susan are available at alara.at/show/Susan4. And just a reminder again that, you know, for these Galactic Chambers, it's about trusting and surrendering, trust and surrender, and know that once you have chosen it, that the healing has begun. And, you know, you can be in one for 30 days for 1 month or all three for 1 month. It's, you know, you can choose package A, B, or package C, where you also get a personal session with Susan, plus you also get the 2 bonus healing calls or healing recordings as well. So definitely check those out. There's lots of testimonials on the sales page as well and in the email, so check those out as well. Anything else you want to add about that, Susan?
Just trying to think. I mean, all the testimonials are there and people's experiences, which helps people kind of see the different types of things that people are healing. And just to say that, you know, whatever happens, whatever your experience is when you step into the chambers is perfect for you. And you know, just trust whatever it is.
Trust and allow and receive, right? So trust and allow and receive the healing, receive the transformation, receive the change. Okay, so perfect. Layla says, I'm looking forward
to a week. And
sorry?
Sometimes I do them for a week and I'm actually giving this for a whole month. So
yeah,
it's, you know, it's a fairly long time to
exactly. And so much can happen in 1 month. So be willing to receive that as well. Yeah. So Layla's going to rewatch and then get a package. So I definitely rewatch this show because there was a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, a lot of different processes that Susan and her team brought in. So please do. I know Casey or somebody had said that, or not Casey, somebody else said they missed what you had said, but it was about, she had mentioned for you going into the peace chamber as well as the PTSD trauma chamber, because I think there was a lot of the empath stuff for psoriasis, etc. So, but go back and listen, absolutely. And for anybody else who has those types of issues, you know, go back and listen to the answers that Susan and the team gave and see how they resonate with you. Okay, so it's not just, you know, like when we do healings and questions, etc. on these calls, it's not just for the person who asked the question, it's for anybody who also resonates or relates to that. Okay. Right, Susan, anything else?
Definitely. I feel that happens, you know, every single person. Yeah. So whether you were able to have your particular thing answered or your question answered, you still receive the healing even if you didn't have a particular question. And that's why I think the guys did it that way today with the inner child work, baby work, and the Akashic records to do with our lifetimes. Yeah, being healers, absolutely. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and they were powerful processes. So go back and redo those again too if you kind of were half listening and half not, right? So go back and rewatch and listen and really allow yourself to receive. So thank you, Susan. I know it's late where you are, and yes, the kids have to go to bed so you can leave tomorrow, but still enjoy, you know, the end of your vacation there. But yeah, I definitely need. Sorry?
We've got a whole day in the sun tomorrow.
Oh, so. Good. Awesome. Good. So Sarah's going to look at doing the trauma chamber. That's the one I need to do as well. The PTSD, trauma, empath chamber, right? So I know it's like, I still definitely have some PTSD stuff going on with my husband. So I know.
But that was a difficult time, wasn't it? You know, you had to, you know, be
Yeah.
there on many, many different levels and still hold the space for lots of other people. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's all good getting there, you know, moving forward. So, and, you know, I'm receiving, right? Receiving the change, receiving the healing, receiving the transformation,
Mm.
looking forward into what the next phase will
Journey.
be, right?
The next
So
journey
different,
would be.
yes, exactly. And looking at different perspectives. So it's all good, you know, so. All right. So thank you so much, Susan, and thank you to your guides. And again, another powerful show, powerful processes, powerful healing. I love it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for all your questions. I'm sure we didn't get to everybody, but thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. And for all your blessings and healings for myself as well. Thank you. All right. So thank you again, Susan, for being, you know, joining us
Thank
here while you're
you.
on vacation. So appreciate that.
And I'll let you know when I finally get the date for my book to be published. Yeah.
Yes, please.
It's basically with the publishers, so we'll see which date it comes out, and that'd be exciting as well.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Yes, you'll have to come back on to promote the book.
Yeah, thank you, my love.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.